So you have the audio guide up here, which is about 12 minutes, but I know that it doesn't always work for everybody as far as the best modality. Um, so I am going to do just a kind of a narration while looking through this information and referencing the chapter. So what I really like about how Bottomley breaks down this material is she goes through um, the systems within the body and looks to see where these areas, these various systems are affected, um, and what changes do happen in older adults as a group. Now, the important thing is this is not an exhaustive list that every one of your patients is going to be going through this. Many of these processes can be slowed down, and in some cases, some of these changes can be reversed, such as weakness, such as some bone loss. And there are ways that some of that bone loss can actually be restored um, through certainly a pharmacological approach, but also through a exercise weight bearing approach, particularly with osteoporosis. I do like how in osteoporosis, in the chapter, she did talk about the advantage of, in some cases, using tilt tables as a way to start that loading process. We had standing frames that we introduced in the fall term and 204 lab that you saw um, for those of you up in the Eugene campus as a ways to start to load the joint while someone is in, thumb weight bearing, doing activities, and that's so important. And for those of you that watched the movie The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, we saw that being done with the particular character, um, Jean, right? Um, the editor from Elle magazine who had the locked-in syndrome. So there is a way to keep these bones strong, and it is through stress. And the appropriate stress is loading of the bones. So these walking programs are really important, as well as you may have some older adults that are still actively running. There has been some evidence to show that even doing um, water exercise in the shallow end of the pool can really produce some benefits because there is some partial weight bearing that's occurring. There's also been some evidence to show that deep water exercise with people in constant motion, working those larger muscles, can actually be shown not to um, add um, bone that's been lost, but can actually slow down the rate of bone loss in those with osteoporosis. So, weight bearing is certainly Wolff's Law is the key to um, strengthen bones, but some of these resisted exercises can also, open chain exercises can also help um, to strengthen those strong muscle groups that are attached to bones and can help slow down some of these um, negative effects of a lack of weight bearing, right? Um, so the cardiopulmonary changes, I think what you're going to see is just this is the number one reason people do die is because of heart conditions, and it's the number one cause of death. So there's things that change within um, the structure of the heart as well as the actual arteries and veins and capillaries, the plumbing, as so to speak, of the um, cardiovascular system. And some of these changes, of course, can have some major health consequences. So I think these are just really good to know, especially as you're working with people that have had cardiac procedures or that are candidates for um, cardiac or cardiovascular procedures or procedures involving the arteries and veins that are part of this amazing network that keeps us alive and keeps our muscles fed and our bones fed, as well as provide in our brain with that bath of, of blood that it needs to function and to aid us in memory and to assist us with executive function. And I think it's important as you're seeing people that are surviving bouts with the flu and pneumonia to know that some of these effects, you may see these repeat customers because of changes that is happening in their pulmonary system. I call them repeat customers, patients that you may be seeing annually because of changes that are occurring in their pulmonary system. And what's so fascinating to me is that we're starting to see some early lung transplants, so you may be seeing those patients too in the rehab setting. And then I think it's also a good opportunity to recapture what you learned last fall and the neurological changes, to really think of some strategies to um, decrease loss in neurological function with your patients, and actually to help those who have had long periods of bed rest um, to regain some of those um, decision-making skills and executive function skills that um, we all take for granted when things are going well. And then we'll talk more about the sensory changes, certainly in lab, when we're working with a geriatric suit in both labs in the upcoming week 2.